Hi, Barbara. Nice to see you.
Yeah, same here, Heather.
Yeah. All right. So today I'm very excited. We're talking about a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset.
Hmm.
And this is all in alignment with this series we're doing to talk to leaders and teams about some key mindset shifts to help them in times of uncertainty. Yes. For those that don't know us, I'm Heather McGonigal. I'm a program director and executive coach at Empowering Leadership Teams. And I'm here with my co CEO and teammate and executive coach extraordinaire, Barbara Schindler. We're excited to be here in LinkedIn Live and share a little bit about what we teach, who we are, and what we think with all of you, and hope you get a gem or a takeaway today that is helpful. Before we get started, Barbara, I'm going to ask everybody to consider, do you spend more time in a fixed mindset or a growth mindset? I think there's a time and place for both, as we'll discuss today, but I want you to consider at the outset here, and as you listen to what Barbara and I are going to discuss this afternoon, how comfortable are you with change, and how much time do you think you spend in a growth mindset on a daily basis while navigating your business with your team?
Great, yeah. And so I love the positioning of, we're not talking about a right or wrong here, like we're supposed to be one or the other, but that there is a difference between when my mindset is open and in a growth mindset versus a fixed. And I love to explore this topic with you, Heather. It's the awareness of where our thinking is, how we're positioned or not in any situation is key for leadership success.
Yeah, and I think as you said, Barbara, great. I'll piggyback on that. No right or wrong. You might think at the outset, like, oh my gosh, well, I know I'm supposed to have a growth mindset. Isn't that the best way? Isn't that the most positive way? The truth is, as human beings, we are navigating change constantly, and we need some stability, some control, some certainty of our environment, our sense of selves, our lives, how we approach things. And we have varying levels of comfort with change. And I love, we were speaking earlier today, Barbara, with one of the leaders in our year-long leadership program, and she was sharing just this idea of like how you can get tripped up as a human when you're like, oh, I need to change. I've got to change all the things about me right now.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of tend to take on change in that way, and we can quickly burn ourselves out from that.
Yeah, yeah. And the change we're really talking about that is kind of constant, is more, and what we're really looking to get comfortable with is, how are things evolving? Sometimes things need to play out. Sometimes we need to make a decision. Sometimes things are like a train wreck is going to happen even, and like, okay, we need to pivot. The nuance is that things are meant to evolve. And as leaders, we strive to have plans and build our expertise, demonstrate the approach and success that we can have in the responsibilities of our roles and supporting others to be successful. And all of that kind of takes, like, we're going for stability, or we're going to follow this plan and these steps. And at the same time, there's often opportunity for what we don't know yet, what we hadn't anticipated, what's changed now that there's been some movement. And so that ability to say, is there an opportunity here to think differently, to see something differently? Is there new information? Am I willing to learn, in the opportunities that my role brings forward?
Yes, and I love what you're sharing and how you're painting the picture here, Barbara. It makes me think how I think about it. One of the things, I'll be a slightly woo-woo for a second in the realm of business here. And I believe I heard this first from Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith, who I met here in Los Angeles. but it's probably a common saying, is that spirit meets us in the point of action. How that translates to business and teamwork is still the same. That I think there's a co-creation, a co-creative energy that we want to partner with. Whatever your beliefs are, spiritual or otherwise, in the process of being a human, we are co-creating with the environment, and we make a plan in business and teamwork, and we take the steps along that plan. And while we're doing that, the co-creative part is, while that plan is unfolding, we get feedback, we get information. How's it going? Is it serving our clients? Is it moving us towards the goal that we wanted? Are we operating as effectively as we can as an organization? We get feedback and information in the moving forward. So the moving forward with the plan is a very, very powerful and important part. So there's a part of us, and it's more the part that gets dialed in with a fixed mindset, that is good at defining a way and an approach and a plan, and being like, oh, well, my experience tells me that if we execute this in this way, that will work. That can be valuable. And we want to start executing, and then have this co-creative partnership to get the feedback from moving forward and adjust our plans as necessary, right? And then we're talking about how on a team, then we're all doing that. We're adding our experience, our expertise, we're making a plan, we're moving forward, and then we're getting more information. And the best teams lean into, I'm kind of making a broad statement here, Barbara. I want to see if you agree.
Okay.
The best teams lean into embracing a growth mindset while moving forward with clear projects and plans.
Right. We do know also, as we're talking about this, like when we want awareness of where am I in the spectrum of growth mindset and so forth. But when we're talking about this, there often can be made agreements within your team, right? So that we can be open to new ideas for the growth mindset to be there, because we want that from all perspectives from the team. So we want to create the safety for people to actually to be open to that, knowing we have an agreement that we're still going to revisit, check in, what's the impact on the plans we've already invested in, the ones we've already thought through, the ones that we have in action that are going for our ideal scene of results. I'm just going to add in that it's not a free-for-all, right? There is the ability to have both. And I think that's important, because what we're really bringing forward here again is not to get positioned into, I always just say yes to change, I always say no to change. Those are the extremes.
Yeah.
Right. And, sometimes we can get fixed in our ways, and it's a good idea, I think, to once in a while take an assessment, a personal assessment, and maybe a team assessment. Are we too anchored in, this is how it is, this is how it's always going to be? Oh, we're not going to try that because this is how it always ends up. That's when you start noticing nuances of a fixed mindset that's not serving you anymore. It's like, what are we missing even today? This is like the woo-woo part too, Heather. It's like every day is a new day. Yes. Even though it's the same team in the same situation, and we might get the same result, but we might get a new result. Right. And that's where the gift of open, that open mindset, the growth mindset is like, this or something else. I'm not sure what's going to happen. Let's approach it. And that often opens to that curiosity that allows us to approach things a little bit different. I think that's one of the nuances of gifts, of leaning into the growth mindset, is like, I don't know, something new might happen here, Yes. This might unfold in a different way than I see it over here when I'm kind of holding firm to no change right now.
Yes. And that's a very quality word of a growth mindset, I believe, Barbara. Curiosity. Just want to emphasize that word. When we want to embrace a growth mindset individually and collectively, I think it's leaning into being curious.
Mm-hmm.
What do I not know about this situation? What am I thinking I'm certain of that maybe I should explore a little bit differently? Whose perspective might be missing from this conversation that would add some nuance? Are we moving forward with the plans the same as we did last year? Have we thought outside of the box enough? Have we had a brainstorming meeting around this upcoming project before we got locked and loaded in our approach? So I think individually and collectively, having this awareness of curiosity and taking some time to invite that in to our plans, our meetings, our conversations, so that we can stretch and embrace a growth mindset. The other thing, when I was mentioning the leader in our year-long program that we were talking to earlier, and we were talking about how it's human nature, especially in, one of the most common way, I'll just use myself. Whenever I get on the verge of being in a big health kick mode, right, I think, tomorrow morning or next Monday, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wake up and then I'm going to approach my whole life differently. We all do that collectively somewhat with New Year's resolutions and things like that.
Right.
We have to change everything. And the truth is that neuroscience also backs up that as human beings, we have a limited capacity of willpower. We don't have an endless supply of willpower. So we need some habits to run on autopilot while we specifically, intentionally, deliberately, with self-awareness, choose some habits we want to change, right? So this is just my invitation to people. Like, you don't want to burn yourself out. I want you to think about what's coming up for your area of the business and in your life. What is the one thing that you think if you made a change, it would move the needle in positive ways? Maybe it would help you feel more effective in your role. It would give you some time back for your personal life. Maybe it would be a way that you're going to introduce more innovation and creativity in your team. But choose one thing that you would like to do differently. Just one thing. And then in order to make a change that sticks, Barbara and I have this thing that we teach, that there's 3 things you need to think of to make a solid change. That is how you're going to think about it differently. What's the mindset shift? Then what's the behavior? How do you have to show up differently in the thing? So a mindset shift and the behavior, and what's a structure or way that you're going to support yourself in the change. I'll also just use me as an example. Right now, I have a lot of change going on in my personal life, and I'm moving. And so that's a lot of change. So I decided that for the month of November and December, I am going to really lean on using a daily to-do list more than I normally do. It's my piece of structure that's going to support me in moving through this time of big change. And my mindset shift is that this piece of structure creates freedom. It's a good thing. It's a good habit I'm going to build. The to-do list is the piece of structure, right? And that I'm going to show up every day and look at my to-do list. And that is how I'm going to make a solid change in being more organized and efficient in this busy time in my life and in my role. And I just wanted to share that and use myself as an example in case that's helpful and in case that helps you identify something you want to claim for yourself.
Yeah, because sometimes when we talk about growth mindset and fixed mindset, we're talking about ourselves. This is the way I operate. This is what I need. This is how I do it. I don't do to-do lists. So your example is kind of cool for that in the sense that often we're referring to our own behavior of like, no, I don't have anything else to learn. I do my job this way. I do my routines this way. This is how I do things. And we do want to invite ourselves, everybody here listening on this call, to think about that. What could I possibly try on that might be a little bit different just because the way these things are? I often find the other thing that happens is this needs to work. I thought it through and this thing needs to work. This is how it should happen. And I do find myself sometimes where I'm like, wait a minute. What am I not considering in my determination to keep at this thing that I'm kind of running into walls? Or one time recently, I was coaching a client and they were looking for new opportunities in their career. And it's like, I have put so much time and this is kind of what I'm going for. This is the kind of role that, I've been working towards. And while all that was happening and not moving forward, there were all these opportunities, people inviting to do something else that also she had skills and interests, but was different. And in our call, I was just like, well, what if you turned over there for a minute and saw potential and opportunity and let this go for a minute? Because again, sometimes it's just like, what's opening here that I'm missing because I am so fixed on how it should go today. I'm sure we all find that happening sometimes.
Yeah, I love that, Barbara. It reminds me, this is where I think of that co-creative part. That actually, in your sharing about that client, the walls and the resistance and the way it wasn't working isn't actually negative. We can reframe that as like good information. And when that starts happening, I think it's a great opportunity to notice, press pause, and look for where, or at least this is how I think about it in my brain, look for where the opportunity is flowing. If you're meeting a bunch of closed doors and resistance and challenge, I think we need to really slow down and pause, refresh our thinking, reopen our eyes, and look for the open window, the positive flowing direction, the other opportunity that's presenting itself.
Yeah, just the potential that might be surrounding that we miss because we have been like, no, I thought this through and this should be the way it is. And I want it to be this way. And truly, truly, life today has lots more complexity. We think of it, I often talk about that complexity as almost a negative, like there's a lot of change, there's a lot of complexity, we've got to consider more things. But that's also more opportunity, more potential, more things to consider. So that curiosity that we spoke about is really important. Like, well, this or something else is like such a key little phrase to remind yourself. At least that unhooks me. I'd be like, okay, just for a minute, pause, right? This or something else. And it allows me to set that up on the shelf a little bit. It's like, okay, this is option A, but or something else. And we have to realize that there's always this or something else to some degree, even if it's this and no change or this, and I'm going to wait this out. I'm not going to make a decision till 24 hours. That's a decision that is a possibility that could make all different other potentials come up by the next day. We just don't know.
And also from what you're sharing, Barbara, about this or something else, it makes me think of the value of having teammates that can think with you, that you can pause and you can go to a teammate that you have safety, that you have a good relationship with. You can be like, I am seeing this way. And I think I might be too close to it, or I might be stuck, or maybe I'm resisting the idea of changing my thinking around it because I don't want to do more work. But anyway, can I share with you about this situation, right? Because they're going to have a different perspective and can maybe help you see some open windows. This is also the reason why having a coach or being
I was just thinking that because we get that little distance as coaches to be like, well, if you step back 2 steps, I heard myself saying that in a coaching call this morning. Well, with the 2 steps back that I'm not in the daily situation. I'm not in that role or that team, and I can share different perspectives. So having a coach, having supportive team, having peers in your
Yeah.
space that would know enough about your role or the company or even be part of the team that can consider that. Because there is that piece when you find yourself, I love the idea that you can have enough self-awareness to notice I'm in a fixed mindset, I'm in a growth mindset, where on that spectrum I might be at any time in a situation, to own that just as, oh, that's where my mindset is. And
Yeah.
then you can have that kind of conversation you talked about, because sometimes either one, I can lean too much into a fixed or too much into a growth. And my emotions there might be a little self protection. Like, I'm just going to say yes. My emotions are like, yeah, I don't want to be the one to say
Right.
no. So
Right.
I'm just going with that. Or it could be like, I'm not sure I want to do that. I'm not sure that change will work for me. I'm a little afraid of that risk, whatever that might be unconsciously happening. So I just say no, right? So we
Mhm.
have to be watching that piece too. So self-awareness, I think, is so important. Just knowing, where is my mindset. I love the formula that you've brought forward that we use so often. It's like, where is my mindset? I need to be aware. And then if there is a shift, there can be behavior and structure to support a new way of approaching your thinking on anything. And that reframing can make a huge difference in so many ways, for positive results, for fulfillment in your role, for just life experience, being like, wow, who knew this was possible, right?
Yeah, and it just makes me think too. Let's remember to have a lot of compassion for one another as we navigate all of this, because on any given day, people are carrying a lot from what's going on in their own life and then in their own role. And we all have different capacities for change on a good day. And then when things are challenging, us as humans, we naturally, biologically want less change because we want more, we want to find more certainty and more security. And I hope some of what Barbara and I are sharing with you all today also helps you think a little bit differently about these uncertain times. We're living in these expansive, ever evolving times where uncertainty is the way. But like, let's not have that scare us. Let's create safety for one another and have compassion for the fact that we have limited capacity. We can't be endlessly changing. Some days we just need things to be the same for a moment.
The way they are.
just
Yeah,
get some
right.
stuff done, and we
Yeah.
can share that with one another as team too, and help develop ways to support each other to have what we need and also navigate change.
So, talk about navigating change. This has been a great conversation, Heather. I've really enjoyed your company. And I want to invite everybody who's listening today to, or listening tomorrow, as this is recorded. Yeah, that we are available. Empowering leadership teams. We're all about empowering you to be your best performance, to help others, and empowering others to be at their best performance in all parts of your life. And be happy to hear from you, and jump on a call together. Doing a discovery call is a way to just explore where you are witnessing yourself in fixed mindset, growth mindset, or any other topic that you want to talk about, in growing your self-awareness to be the better you. So, Heather, right?
So with this recording in LinkedIn here, there will be a link to sign up for a discovery call. This is not a sales call. This is a free opportunity to get a little coaching support and build relationship and connection with us. You'd be getting on a call with Barbara. We'd love to support you. And as she said, anything that you really want support on, or if you want to go and share, just take a claim from watching this video, let us know what is the change you most want to work on to move the needle in the upcoming months, and put it out there so we can support you in that change. We love what we do. We love supporting leaders and their teams. We love empowering people to have the impact they most desire to have. So please take us up on this opportunity to have a discovery call. Thank you for your time and attention for this video. We know your time is valuable. Think about the change that you want to make. And remember, you don't have an unlimited supply of willpower. So don't make yourself change everything. Pick one focus and move forward in that direction today. Lean into your growth mindset. Thank you, Barbara.
Right. Yeah, I look forward to talking to all of you on a discovery call. Give us a ring. Click on that. Thank you.
Click on the link. Okay. Bye. Have a great rest of your day, Barbara. Bye.
Bye.